and welcome to an all-new Marvelcast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Burns and Defenders to Roger Cocking and Billy Bates. My name's Ashley Hobley, Explosion Network's resident fourth wall breaker, and joining me today, he's Astonishing Dylan Blight.
Happy to be here with no Karen, so I can't complain about this episode, because I knew we would have.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting, because the way things are going to pan out, we're not all going to be together till the finale, in theory.
Yeah, so he won't be talking about next week's. And yeah, that's true. So he's going to miss this next week, and then he'll only talk about the finale. Yeah.
Seeing as it's naturally come up, we're not going to be doing next week's episode in a timely fashion. We'll be all getting together in Melbourne for PAX Australia, which is a big video game convention. Yeah, so we probably won't have our after show till probably Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
That's the plan.
That is currently the plan. So yes, apologies if this is part of your weekly routine. But yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. But today we're talking about the latest episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, episode 7, The Retreat. Directed by Anu Avali. It's written by Zeb Wells. Jen visits Blonsky's wellness retreat, meets new friends, and gets in touch with her inner She-Hulk. Dylan, what did you think of this week's episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I feel like I was reading. It's funny because I was reading a thread last night. You know, one of these. It was just a thread where people were like, you know, like, I'm sick of seeing, this person was tweeting, like, I'm sick of seeing people complain about She-Hulk, because, like, I have a lot of these people complaining. Have they ever considered that maybe not everything, we're at a stage now where not everything Marvel is actually targeted at you?
What?
Just watching it because it's part of the MCU, so you feel obligated. Which is, that was it. And this episode really ticked all those boxes. This episode is, like, it's not Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, it's not what people expect or what it, like, it's, I thought it was funny. I thought it was like a good, like, little character piece. I thought it was a very sitcom. This is the thing. This is a very sitcom-y type show. It's trying to target a completely different audience. That Marvel is a predominantly male-focused audience. This show, I would say, leans more towards targeting females than males. Like, if it had to pick like a spectrum, not to say obviously guys can't enjoy it, because I enjoy it, but I feel like if most Marvel stuff leans towards male, then this, I would say, is leaning like at least 55% more towards female audience. Yeah, they were like, maybe not everything's for you, but it just got me thinking. I'm like, that's the conundrum with creating the MCU, I guess, is that you build this thing where, you know, you have to watch everything to, you know, you can't not watch everything. It's all part of the same story. You've got to watch everything, which worked for a degree because everything was made in the same sort of style and fashion. And then when you start getting into these Disney Plus series and something like this comes along, this very sitcom-y type thing that is not for everyone, then you've got all these people like basically hate watching it because they feel like they have to, which is a weird conundrum to be in. But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought that as soon as, like, I was like, okay, we'll go see Tim Roth having a bit of fun. I'll enjoy that. But yeah, seeing all the other characters, I thought were the four? Whatever they were, you know, the bull, the dude who's definitely not a matador, the
so it's
vampire.
Man Bull, Il Aguela, Porcupine, and Saccharin.
Yeah, all these I assume very like D tier.
Very
villains, right?
D tier.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of them, obviously. But yeah, I thought that was all very fun, and that whole scene and where she wanders into their little session from then on, I thought was all very good. Very dialogue heavy. A lot of dialogue happens in this episode, more than there's probably more dialogue in this half hour than there is in like an hour of some Marvel movies. So I enjoyed it.
But yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a very different feeling episode than everything so far, I think. Just like just because as much dialogue as there was a lot of like silent sequences. You know, well, not silent, but dialogue-free sequences. Because obviously she's trying to... They have this whole dating montage at the start where they're not really talking a lot. Then you've got the whole Jen waiting to get the text back. Not a lot of talking there. And then a long montage of her wandering around the compound trying to get reception. No service. What a great visual little thing that make it heaps funnier. Just no service everywhere. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Obviously, getting some more Tim Roth doesn't hurt. Which, I don't think we're going to see much Tim Roth going forward, would be my guess. I guess this is just a fun, weird cameo thing that he's decided he's getting a little bit of extra Marvel money and then he's going to go home.
Yep.
Because he doesn't seem like he's got any interest in being the Abomination. Based on this.
He's like, this is more fun.
This is more fun. But yeah, and it was weirdly emotional as well. Jen talking about, people we've kind of seen so far on the show, people liking She-Hulk more than they like Jen, even though Jen's pretty great. Yeah. And then of course we get the reveal at the end of the episode that Josh is a piece of shit.
I kind of assumed
was that your hunch?
Yeah, that was my hunch. I assumed as much because that's the only sort of plot thread we've had sort of planted in this entire season. So I assumed the first guy she would actually date would just turn out to be bad.
Of course, because the second guy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wasn't the first guy she's had multiple dates with.
Yeah.
She had a one-night stand, I guess.
She was safer with the dudes who only liked the Hulk because they couldn't steal her blood.
Yeah. Do we assume he stole the blood?
I assume so. His little emoji thing at the end was a needle, something else, and then a green Hulk emoji or some shit.
Yeah.
Needle something Hulk. Yeah.
Mm. So, I guess, did you get, is he the Hulk King or is he texting the person called the Hulk King?
He's texting some person who's calling himself the Hulk King.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but
I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think in the comics, the character Hulkling, who was a part of the Young Avengers, is currently going by the moniker King Hulk, but that's because he's become the king of a space. It's a whole thing. So I don't know if that's some weird way of introducing him into the comics or into the MCU. Because that would be weird because he didn't originate as a villainous character. But yeah, I guess, obviously the leaders on the board, there's a whole spectrum of people that it could potentially be.
Yeah, the leader would be tie that back in after the announcement, I guess.
Yeah, was it announced this week that
last week
that She-Hulk is going to be in Captain America: New World Order?
I thought you were saying Tim Blake Nelson, but
no, that that
was a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it was announced last week or this week that she's going to be in Captain America. So
I mean that's a big thing. Yeah, I thought this was a fun little thing. I think those D-list characters, interesting. Kind of a missed opportunity, I think, to not question the Wrecker dude as to why they attacked in the back alley.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't even know. I don't know.
He just got told. He could have at least said, "Hey, listen, Jen, I got told by some people they want to see your blood." Just so you know.
Maybe he wasn't even aware
Keep your guard up.
There was going to be someone trying to steal the blood. I don't know. But so one part that sort of made me laugh out loud is the dude being like, Spanish is a language, not an ethnicity or something like that, whatever place. Or it's not a place or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. And then dude's like, have you never heard of Spain? I think it was just the delivery of Spain. It was like a pause and then Spain.
It was pretty great.
It was quite funny. Yeah. And then the other part where he's talking about, he's like, and people assume that just because I have this accent and dress sort of this way, that I'm a matador. And look, I may have done some I may have done it in my younger years. And then the
I did
bald
some
man
Matador
bull's
during
like,
college.
what? I've never, how dare you?
Their whole thing, you know, super funny. The introduction with them smashing up Jen's car.
Yeah.
Like,
and then also the sort of on the nose thing where they just begin going on to this backstory, and Jen's like, "There's an awful lot of backstory for two dudes who just crashed into my car."
Yeah, lots of fun interchanges, exchanges. Those two and their whole codependency thing, needing to be separated for the session. Him getting very upset that she just like ruined his stacked chairs.
Yeah, perfectly stacked chairs.
Just perfectly stacked chairs.
Yeah. Also, Tim Roth being like,
"You
need to sit in the calming chair now," or whatever. Ooh, and then Jen's like, "All right, well, as soon as I get out of there, though, I'm gonna pulverize it."
You know, and then old porcupine, in his suit.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably needs a bath, I think.
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Never takes the suit off.
Apparently, yeah. It's an interesting look. It doesn't look comfortable.
No, it doesn't look comfortable at all. I don't know how he's sitting down, but
yeah, he looked like he needs to get out of that pretty quick.
I just like there's no twist for the abomination thing. It's like legit, like
just he's zapped.
He wasn't even lying. I don't like. That's the thing.
No.
There's not a part of me that actually thinks he was lying. His truth was that he was literally trying to save this chicken in an electric fence. So like I don't doubt it at all. I think it's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I guess this kind of leaves us in an interesting spot because there's 2 episodes left. We're pretty confident one of these 2 episodes, Daredevil.
Oh, I'm so sick of it. Every week on Twitter, if I dare look at the hashtag, "Oh, they fucked us again, no Daredevil, blah, blah, blah."
Well, last week it was like, you put the teaser out the week before.
There wasn't a teaser, though.
But the joke was the teaser was there, and then they did an Inconvenient Wedding episode.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
She told you in what, episode 3? Wong's in this episode, but this isn't one of those shows where there's a cameo every episode. And then she literally looks at the camera and says, "Let's not forget whose show this is." The show told you, and then everyone's getting upset. There's not a cameo every episode.
It's like, why? Yeah,
you should have been paying
but
attention.
yeah, in my mind, they do the Daredevil episodes next week.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't think you do, or do you save them for the finale?
I was thinking finale at this stage, but unless it's like a 2-parter sort of thing, which could be a thing.
It could be a
interconnected 2-parter. I assume they're gonna I would assume next week's just another whatever, like, not quote unquote normal episode for the show, which is just, it's a contained thing. And I was thinking in the last episode that it would maybe involve Daredevil and then the reveal of whoever the bad guy is, and that sets up, like, I don't think he actually gets involved.
Like, in my mind, next week is him helping her, like, train or whatever into becoming a hero, and then the following week it's her facing whoever's stealing her blood.
I just don't feel like they're going to even solve that this season. I feel like that's
Maybe not. Maybe that's not even something that super concerned.
I'm not. I'm really not concerned with the overall plot of this show. Like, when I think about everything I've liked about the show, it's just been like the most randomest, non-connected shit.
Stuff.
Like, it's its own thing. It's just, as I said, like, it's just a sitcom.
It's interesting because I do sometimes get like Rick and Morty vibes. Because that show, it doesn't really have an overall plot. There's just things happen each week. Same characters get into zany situations. Obviously,
there is
the writer comes
that
from
show.
that background. Jessica Gao comes from that, working on that show. There is an overall canon, but it's not super.
Yeah, like the canon that the current Rick and Morty in the show aren't even the ones that you started the whole show with, and they died.
I don't know if that's true, but yeah.
That's true. It's true.
They're just not from the original. It doesn't matter. Rick and Morty's lore is so crazy at this point. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about from this episode?
No, I think we covered most of it.
Yeah. Alright, let us know what you thought of this week's episode of She-Hulk. Attorney at Law by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump into our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvel Cast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchase for leave us 5 stars, anywhere we can leave 5 stars. Tell people about the #1 Australian-made MCU podcast on the internet. And if you really like this episode, or it is worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Alright, make sure you watch next week's episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law and join us very late for another All New Marvel Cast.